But in a group of 10 people, I think if you have XYZ skills, that kind of makes you, shine better and kind of makes you stand out of that crowd and kind of get yourself noticed. So I think these things would help.
So, do you think that actually communication plays a very big role in marketing? And if a person who is not very good with communication or is not very comfortable talking to strangers or something, so do you think that there is a scope for these kind of people as well in marketing? Hello and welcome to today's podcast by Skilled Sapiens, your go-to resource for experiential learning, where we discover new opportunities, develop essential skills, and deploy your talent to make an everlasting impact. I'm your host for today's podcast, Prakriti Jain. Today we have with us Haricharaun Jayakumar, who has done his MBA from IBS Hyderabad and now is currently working in Solid Technologies. Hello, Hari.
Hi, so thank you for your introduction, and I'm very happy to be on your podcast. It was a very exciting thing when Dipanita first introduced yourself to me, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
That's great. So, how are things going?
Yeah, they're going well. It's a Friday night. I'm on a
Yeah.
podcast.
So,
It's
yeah, we'll start with, knowing something more about you because I'm sure our audience would be very keen to know about you better.
yeah. You've introduced me from the angle that I've done my MBA from IBS Hyderabad.
Yes.
Prior to that, I've done a mass communications in Loyola Academy. It was a BA mass communications. It was a good time.
Okay.
So MBA is good, but mass communication also introduces to a lot of different things, and it kind of helps you understand people better in a way that you go below the surface level. So that was a good 3 years for me, and then COVID happened, and then MBA happened. So apart from academic stuff, I am a musician. I play guitar, I play piano. It's mostly for myself, for my just to keep myself occupied. Apart from that, I do a bit of gaming. So this is, in short, this is me. So yeah.
So, how was your overall experience of MBA at IBS?
So it was. So I'll tell you. I my MBA was from 21, 23.
Yes.
So we know that till the better part of 2021, it was COVID, and all of us were
Yes.
stuck at home. So I think for the first semester and a couple of months into the second semester, I was at home. We were on an online setup. So that part was kind of, so it was kind of very boring in a sense because MBA is all about experiential learning where you actually talk to your peers, you engage with them, and it is, and so that is why most MBA colleges are also residential programs because you are there with your colleagues 24/7, and then you kind of interact with them that way, and you network with them better, you gel with them better. So that part of the MBA curriculum or pedagogy was missing, but otherwise it was a good time.
Yeah. So, overall, like, MBA is a experience, I say. It's not a,
Yeah,
it's not a degree, it's a whole experience that one should get. So,
exactly.
So you have spent around 1 year of your MBA during the COVID times in an online setup. So were you involved in any clubs or committee during that time? And if you were, what were the work?
Yeah, so I'll tell you how the timeline progresses, right? So I joined IBS, and 1 month into my MBA, they introduced clubs to me, and there are about 29, 30 clubs for everything and anything out there. So I was part of this club called Maverick. So Maverick was the marketing club of our college,
Okay.
and we kind of educated ourselves primarily about what marketing actually is and how academics and real life marketing are kind of two different things, and you kind of get better of both. And so I mean, in a very high level, this is what we did. So apart from that, we also kind of so basically Maverick was like a startup agency, right? So we were also involved in a lot of things that any other media agency would do. We made ad films, we made creatives, we made for promotional campaigns. We also run a lot of campaigns on YouTube, LinkedIn, and all that for multiple clients. So all in all, it was a good time. It was also a good learning experience for anybody out there. So yeah, it was a good time.
So, as you said that your college had around 29 to 30 clubs, and then you chose to be in Mavericks, which is a marketing club. So, why
Yeah.
marketing at a first place?
Honestly, I don't really have a very बहुत बड़ा आंसर नहीं है मेरे पास. So the only thing that I chose Maverick was that I wanted to do an MBA in marketing. So
Okay.
a marketing club would be a natural extension to that. So that is why I chose to be in Maverick. So yeah.
So, you were in mass communication and then you chose to be in marketing. So, what are the things that you have learned? Means, what are the key activities or events or initiative that your club has taken and you have gone through that, exercise?
So I'll tell you, a lot of times we were introduced to external stakeholders, right? So we talk to actual people, we actual clients. We understand what they want. And a lot of times, agencies also have to face backlash in terms of their work, right? Because not, there, so since Maverick was a voluntary student body, we didn't have full-time paid employees, and any money we got, it was like end of the year, that money would go to us doing a grand party and enjoying ourselves. So we weren't really motivated in such a way that if you're only if you're doing work, you're getting paid. So our work a lot of times may have been substandard in a way because of that quote unquote voluntary organization, but because of which clients also asked us to be better. And once we kind of get that feedback from clients, we actually have to be better because that is how you survive and that you don't make money for nothing.
Yes.
So that way, I think interacting with the external stakeholders, like interacting with people who pay you,
Hmm.
and all of that, that was a good new experience for me because I was all through my childhood, I was in a very comfortable environment that way, and I didn't really have to ask anybody for money and stuff like that. So that was a good time.
So, you were in marketing and you have did a lot of work. So, do you
Yeah.
think that somewhere, as you have done your MBA in marketing, somewhere it has complemented your academic learnings? Because what I believe is that, marketing is not something that comes from the bookish knowledge. Learning STP and applying STPs are way two different things. So, do you think the same? And if it does, how does it impacted or, improved your learnings, academic learnings?
So firstly, like you said, academic learning and on-role, experiential learning are two different things in marketing. Finance is still fine because you learn what you preach. But in marketing, it's like, yeah, like you said, it is very two different things because STP is only good in the book, but in
Yes.
reality, there are a lot of things that determine how well your product is going to work. If your product is even going to work at all,
Yeah.
and if it is working, how can you make it work better? So
Hmm.
you first understand customers, you understand their need, you understand their pain points, and that is how you kind of stay take a road forward. You don't start with a problem. You don't find a problem and then solve it. You solve the problem and then make a product around it and sell it. So I think that is what I kind of learned out of being in a marketing club or after academics. This is kind of like an end goal of my MBA, you could say.
Yeah. So, what are the skills or the insights or learnings that you have gained by being the part of this club?
Firstly, as a part of Maverick, I was mostly involved with creating online content, creating blogs, creating LinkedIn posts, creating graphic design, stuff like that. And since that was more what actually drove money coming into my Maverick, I think that way I was also involved in a lot of client servicing. So all these skills are very important. Apart from that, so I'll tell you, you actually have MBA is a very hectic degree. We don't. So when you are in a club, you also are involved with a lot of activities of the club,
Yeah.
and because of the club, you can't compromise on your academic learning, or you don't get to compromise on your social life. Friday night party means going to a Friday night party and you don't sit and work there. So you kind of learn to manage your time because everybody has 24 hours. In that, about 6 to 8 hours are gone when you're in the classroom. Apart from that, what do you do for the rest of 16 hours? So basically, I remember nights where we had only 1 or 2 hours of sleep because we had to juggle everything through. So I think time management is one thing that was kind of instilled into me as to how I know how to get my work done before the deadline. And in corporate, I think that is very important because nobody cares if you are the best employee till you are able to prove yourself and finish your task before time. So I think that was instilled into me through MBA and further marketing.
So, as you said, you were, involved in some client involvement in your club. So, do you think that the experiences or the connections that you have made while working with the clients in your via Mavericks Club has helped you post MBA?
To be honest, no. It is not. I mean, so everybody. So we didn't really have clients to this degree of actually helping us. Most of them were ex-alumni of IBS or ex-Maverick members who actually had something to do, and they kind of got to us because they knew that we were into client servicing, stuff like that. So in a sense, it was essentially alumni relations, but otherwise we didn't really have anything deep down benefit that came after MBA. It gave us essential skills, yes, but no direct benefit that way.
So, it's been a long time. As you have graduated in 2023 and now it's 1 year down. So, how do you keep updated yourself by the latest news regarding the marketing trends that are going on in the current market situations?
Firstly, before my MBA, I was into journalism, mass communication. So as a part of that, you actually have to be aware of what is going on in your surroundings to be a good journalist. Though I am not a journalist, but you still you kind of learn that as a skill as you go through your degree, and I think that remained in me. And the MBA marketing is basically making sure of how your market is moving and how you can adapt your strategy with the market. I think these two things, they kind of are instilled in you, right? So I read a newspaper every single day. I still read a newspaper. A lot of people don't. And there's an app called InShots. I kind of go through it every single day. YouTube Shorts, you go through Reels. And that, I mean, as a part of that, I also make sure I go through InShots because even that is scrolling and then it keeps going on till there's no end to it. Right, I do that. And so on Google, there's something called Google Alerts.
Yeah.
So a specific areas where I'm interested in, I set Google Alerts. So every single day I get news related to that. So these things kind of help me keep myself informed about what is going on out there. If there are any things that I should know that kind of make my life better, worse, whatever that is. So yeah.
So it's a very generic, understanding among people that marketing is for the people who knows to speak, with a very good communication skill, who can, persuade the customer in a very, very easier manner. So do you think that actually communication plays a very big role in marketing? And if a person who is not very good with communication or is not very comfortable talking to strangers or something, so do you think that there is a scope for these kind of people as well in marketing?
So firstly, you asked me two questions. One is communication important in marketing. Two, if people who are kind of introverted, can they do good
Yeah.
in marketing? So to answer your questions, one, I agree that communication is very important, but that is not limited to marketing. You kind of have to. So it's like this. Marketing is a very very wide domain.
Yeah.
You also, but after MBA, most people get into sales. As part of sales, you actually have to kind of interact with people. You have to kind of convince them to get things done. It might not be directly, you're not selling to a customer, but you kind of have to talk to an extended group of people that you have not met before,
Hmm.
and you actually have to develop a relationship with them. So I think that way, yes, communication is very important, but it is not the end of the world, right? If you're an introverted person now, eventually, I think as you progress in your career, I think you would come out as somebody who is able to talk to people directly, and you kind of get through that. Communication is not a restrictive barrier that way, but yes, it is a good to have thing. Yes. The secondly, can introverted people do well in marketing? So yes. So firstly, if you don't want to get into core sales, marketing is still easier that way. You don't have to convince somebody directly as to how to buy your product, sell your product, stuff like that. No, that you don't do that. So if you're into back-end marketing, if you're into marketing operations, if you're into digital marketing, if you're into, let's say, content writing, copywriting, stuff like that, these things, they don't directly require you to be the most outspoken person. You kind of get your way around that. But yes, my communication as a whole is very important when you're doing an MBA. You have to kind of have to talk to people.
Yeah, communication is important, but when it comes to marketing, I have heard a lot of, almost every professor has told that somewhere or the other time you have to work in sales to be, in the marketing domain. So is it like this, that a person who has to do MBA in marketing, or who has to, continue with the marketing domain, has to work in sales?
So firstly, there are different types of sales. So you have to understand, when you mean sales, are you going to sell the product to an end customer? One. Second thing, are you going to sell that, let's say, in the case of cars, let's say if I'm talking, so I did my internship in Tata Motors, so where I was in the sales and marketing division there. So in there, basically Tata Motors does not directly sell a car or a truck to you. They have established retail partners who are the showrooms, and they kind of have to offload. They don't sell their vehicles directly to the customer. They sell their vehicles to the showroom. Showroom sells them further to the customers. So you can kind of convince the showroom to get your vehicles. And obviously, if it is a Tata Motors showroom, the guy will obviously get your trucks. But sometimes, to meet certain quotas, you need to push certain vehicles forward. You don't have to, you kind of have to limit certain vehicles going forward. So stuff like that is there. So in a way, sales is very, very broad. With that said, I think sales is very important, because the majority of jobs that come after a marketing degree or an MBA in marketing are sales. There's no avoiding that. And if you are a good salesman, the kind of money you get is also much higher than non-sales job.
Yeah.
So after tech and finance, I think sales has very, very good pay. So if pay is your motive, sales is your domain to go to. Otherwise, it is not a restrictive thing. Not all. So I am not into sales directly. I am into product marketing. So which is a very, very different domain.
Yeah.
So in that way, I think you also have to align with what your goals are. And obviously, when an MBA college is like a placement agency where you kind of go through different companies coming through you. I think you have to shortlist on what kind of roles you want to go to. So I think that is very important. But yes, majority of the companies that come are sales, and you should have an open, you don't really have to reject that directly. So
So, how do you think that the importance of data analytics has increased in the marketing domain in the recent times?
So yeah, data analytics. So data analytics again. So Let me tell you what I'm doing in my current role. So I am a product marketer for a company called Solex Technology.
Okay.
So in essence, what we do is we provide end-to-end data management solutions for companies. So a lot of times companies have enormous amounts of data, and storing that data becomes expensive.
Yeah.
So we kind of have low cost storage for them. And a lot of times, to enable data analytics, you need certain data infrastructure to be placed. So there you kind of have to get your data infrastructure ready. You have a data warehouse, data lake. You get that ready, and that is when you kind of enable yourselves to do data analytics forward. So stuff like that is very important for large organization. So data analytics, like you said, is a uh, very broad term. I think data driven in the analytics, so data driven insights derived from actually in actual insight, actual actionable data that is more important. So when I talk about companies like Google, companies like Microsoft, stuff like that, they have a lot of initiatives that they do based on so based on what geographies, let's say they have a lot of customers. Let's say India has the largest population among the world. So you have a lot of insights coming from India. In
Yeah,
India, South India, different set of demographies compared to the North. People
yeah,
consumption patterns are very, very different.
yeah.
So that way, I think understanding data as a whole is very important, and kind of getting your way through that is also kind of helpful in your endeavors anywhere. So yeah.
So in the recent times, AI has grabbed all over the market. So what are your views that the how would be its impact on the future of marketing?
Mhm. So, like I said, so essentially you have copywriters, you have people who write scripts, you have people who kind of work on essentially making content. I think all of those are going to be disrupted or already being disrupted because you kind of have with generative AI, with large language models, you kind of have an assistant that does all that work for you. So in a lot of ways, you are kind of if you are a content writer, you have to up yourselves to the way that you are better than that large language model. You actually have, yeah, that human touch that you can add to whatever you're doing. So that is very important. People are going to be replaced. People, jobs are going to be taken by AI. But yes, so if for one, graphic design has been massively impacted by generative AI. With Photoshop, and you can actually just on Photoshop itself, you can use so there's this thing called fill. So you can fill it with anything based on your prompts. I think moving forward for marketers, for anybody else, for that matter, prompting is very important. So you have to learn about how you actually have to ask questions to a AI model. That is very important. You need to know what are the questions that you have to ask, and to know that you actually have to know what you need. Firstly, I think need basis is very important, and based on that, you need prompting. That should be a skill. So yes, AI is going to impact marketing and any other industry moving forward.
So coming back to your marketing club's work, you might be using some of the tools. So what in your knowledge are some of the most important digital marketing tools that one could use to enhance their knowledge in terms of marketing?
So in digital marketing tools, I directly use this tool called Ahref. Ahref is basically to understand your website traffic, how much how each keyword is performing, how each if you're writing a blog or if you're writing having a title of your web page, you need to make sure that your web page is your search engine optimized. So to do that, you actually have to make sure the high impact keywords are placed strategically across your web page and stuff like that. So Ahref is a great tool. Alternatively, you can use SEMrush. That is another alternative to Ahref. They essentially do the same thing. There's also this tool called the MailChimp where you do email automation. You send out email campaigns, do stuff like that. MailChimp is good. Google Analytics is also is something that any digital marketer would learn moving forward. I think that is also an important tool to kind of get into. And if you're on the website side of things, I think Yoast is integrated with WordPress very well. So where you can actually get writing tips and you can actually see how well optimized your article or your blog or your post is to your website. I think that is very, very good. So these things help you if you're into digital marketing, if you're into product, these things are going to help you.
So, how do you think that person who is into marketing domain or who is currently into his MBA, what can they do? Are there some courses or some live projects? What are the things that you would recommend as a marketing student?
So firstly, as a marketing student, I really think technical skills are important. Pick up a language, pick up a coding language, pick up stuff like Python. Python is extremely useful because moving forward, a lot of companies that come to campus, they ask for data analysts, business analysts. And these guys, when at work, they actually have to kind of build out data driven strategies based on querying on Python, querying on SQL. Learn these languages. These tools are going to be very important. Apart from that, in terms of marketing skills, I think you should firstly start with a lot. HubSpot offers a lot of free courses. With that, it'll kind of help beef up your resume. I think that is going to be helpful. Apart from that, life projects and internships, because a lot of times internships further convert to a PPO or a PPI. These things are very helpful in an MBA journey, because unless you have a business of yourself, I think a job is very important, and getting a job in a college is very stressful. So I think these things kind of make you stand out. I won't tell you necessarily that these are things that are going to get you a job, but in a group of 10 people, I think if you have XYZ skills, that kind of makes you shine better, and kind of makes you stand out of that crowd and kind of get yourself noticed. So I think these things would help.
So, how do you think that the experiences that you had in your MBA or your club work or the learnings that you have gained from there has helped you evolve as a person or has helped you evolve as a management person?
So firstly, time management, like I said, is kind of very helpful, that I learned through my MBA. Second thing, MBA, I'll tell you, ICFI has about 1,200 students, give or take, in their campus. That is 1,200 2,400 students if you combine 2 years of MBA. So you have enormous number of people that you can go ahead and talk to. You can go ahead and network with all of these people, because 2,400 students from different parts of the country, with different economic backgrounds, with different personal experiences. There are a lot of things to learn. So that way, I think you get when as you're exposed to different people, and if as you're exposed to a lot of people, you learn a lot of new things experientially. That really helped me. And somehow you can actually, so in college there are all types of people, so you kind of have to you make your presence felt, and to do that you kind of have to stand out in a way. So when you kind of work on that, when you kind of work on yourself, you kind of actually learn a lot of new things. So after MBA, it is not just about academics, but I also learned about what are the things that I want, what makes me happy, and what does not make me happy, and in future, in my career, what are some things that I want to be a part of. These things had kind of made me self-aware in a way, because end of the day, it is about you, and it is not about your friend, or it is not about XYZ person that you find in college. It is about you, and how you kind of move ahead in your career and make yourself, wealthier, wiser, whatever it is that your goals are. So I think that kind of, helped me as my MBA journey went.
So, coming to our last question, what is the advice that you want to give to the upcoming MBA students or the ones who are really interested in marketing domain?
Firstly, so finance is, so when you're doing an MBA, firstly make sure what you want to do first. A lot of students who chose MBA in ICFI uh, or anywhere else, I've noticed people choose marketing because it's easier, and you don't really have to do a lot of numericals. You don't have to go through financial models. You don't have to go through a lot of long financial statements, stuff like that. You don't do that. You don't do that in marketing. If that is why you're choosing marketing, please don't, because you kind of finance is extremely important, and a lot of skills that you learn in finance are extremely important in your life. I think get a hold of why you want to do marketing first. Please don't do it because it's easy. If you because otherwise you're going to suffer, because people who kind of do this are people who don't really excel in things, because they kind of take the easier route forward. Please don't do that. If marketing is important to you, make sure how you can actually be the top of your class, or make it to the dean's list, or kind of get academics straight. Because academics, though they are not very important in marketing, in a college, in placements, they really matter, because a lot of times there are barriers there to as to how much a company is going to hire you. So that those things are there. So please look into all these things, and get yourselves aware of things. So this is my advice, if that's what you're asking for.
So thank you so much, Haricharan. I think that we have gained a lot from your experiences. I mean, your journey is like something. It has cleared all the myths and all the hypothetical scenarios that we had about marketing domain, and it will really. I am very pretty sure that that our viewers will get a lot from you, especially in the marketing domain. All the things, all the myths that they have might will get clear after listening to you. So thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all for today's episode, guys. If you do like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such episodes. And don't forget to keep a comment down below. And until next time, keep striving for excellence.